Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Munir Alazouzi from easymedicaldevice.com. And today we'll talk about importation. So if you are located outside of Europe and you want to import some products, so this episode will be really interesting for you. And we will talk about a specific service that is existing now, which we can call independent importer. And I have with me Edgar Kasteel, a managing director at MedEnvoy, who will help us to understand how his service is working and also what are the responsibilities of an importer in that case. So Edgar, welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast.
Thank you.
So Edgar, can you make just a small introduction maybe of yourself,
Sure.
and then we can start to talk about your role and the role of an importer.
Very good. As I said, I'm the managing director of MedEnvoy, and a company only established last September. So it's a relatively new company, but okay. We have a serious background in medical devices. I started with Emergo in 2005 to set up and manage a distribution activity where we did matchmaking between device manufacturers and commercial distributors. And we did that up till the point that Emergo was acquired by UL.
Okay.
And at that moment, we were spun out of Emergo into a company called Lactar Medical. And so as of 2017, we've been doing the same as we did under Emergo, matchmaking of medical device manufacturers with distributors. And let's say 2018, we started discussions about importer and who can be importer and what does it mean. And so we started talking about that idea of independent importer up to the point that we, let's say last year said, yes, this is a feasible model. We can make a business out of this, assist manufacturers from outside of Europe to deal with this because it is a new role, it's a new challenges. So we can see if we can help those companies with that. But when looking at the responsibilities and the liabilities, we knew that this is a very specific role. And that's when we decided to create a sister company of Lactar Medical, and that is called MedEnvoy. So as said, established in September 2020, but going back a long time. And I'm very pleased to say that one of the business partners that I have in this company is René van der Zandt, the founder and former owner of Emergo. So
okay, no, I think it's really great. I think it's a great adventure, if I can say, a journey that is it's happening like that because we know I think all about Emergo. So seeing all this, if I can say, behind the curtain things that is happening is really great. And I was really interested to have you on the episode because I am looking a lot about importation and importer economic operators. And when I heard your model, I was asking myself, is it really possible to do that? So is it really something available? And I was looking and searching and I said, yes, it's really feasible. So, and it's why I want to really to talk maybe about that. But before maybe to go through the kind of, I call that the independent importer, can we maybe first tell the people who needs an importer? So what is an importer and who needs an importer so that we can really provide them the right figures on you need an importer or you don't need an importer?
Correct. Well, according to the MDR and the IVDR, starting the date of applications of those new regulations, every manufacturer outside the EU needs to have an importer. That means companies from the UK, Switzerland, up to the point that they have an MRA in place. And for the rest, all companies outside the EU need to have an importer. You can have multiple importers, so it's not restricted to one. But let's say there are, of course, challenges having multiple importers.
Yeah.
So any company from outside the EU needs to have an importer, and that importer will also be visible in EUDAMED. So in terms of visibility, the importer will be visible in EUDAMED. And let's say, companies can decide to not work with a distributor, but they need to work with an importer.
So just one thing maybe to clarify with everybody. So under MDD, we also needed an importer or no?
Yes, that's, let's say, referring back to the Blue Guide of the European Union. In the Blue Guide, it says that if you're from outside Europe, you need to have an importer. But the new thing with the MDR is that there are very specific obligations assigned to the importer. And that makes it new, so to say, for the companies in the medical device and in the IVDR.
Because when I talk with some manufacturers, and usually it's class 1 manufacturers, they all say to me, oh, really? I need an importer? Oh, I was selling my product since 10 years without an importer. And so I said to them, okay, you are in non-conformity here then if you are doing that. But I mean, the importer was always existing. And as you mentioned, the blue guide is clear. The blue guide is mainly the guide for CE marking. It's not specific to medical devices. It's for all products that are CE marked. And it says, if you are outside of Europe, you have to have an importer to sell inside of Europe. So as you mentioned, maybe now with the EU MDR, it's clearer. So we have a clear information, you need that. And here are the responsibilities of the importer. But it was also existing before. It was maybe not clear for some people before, but now I hope this will be clearer for them. So
and let's say, if you took, let's say the importer is somebody that by doing an activity becomes importer. So if you have a distributor currently that is doing importations for you, physical importations and fiscal importations, at that point, that distributor qualifies as being the importer. Although it's not named as importer, but he qualifies as being the importer. And that is also under the MDR. So the moment that you ship your devices to a distributor, and that distributor takes care of all kinds of activities, then that distributor qualifies as the importer. So, which means if you ship to a lot of distributors under the MDR and the IVDR, those have to be listed in EUDAMED. So if you have 50 distributors, you really want to have all those 50 distributors listed to your name as legal manufacturer in EUDAMED. That's the big question, of course.
And it's funny because I know now, and I heard a lot of time that distributors start to understand that. It's something that they were maybe not understanding before, and they start to understand that. And when they understand what is the liability of being importers, they start to be afraid, and they start to say, no, I don't want to be an importer. So I have multiple clients now that are starting to say, oh, my distributor doesn't want me, he doesn't want to be importer, so I have to find an importer, and etc. So, which makes me like, okay, but they were importer before. So what's the point here? I say, oh, but they didn't know apparently that they were importer before. Now they know about it and they know what is the risk of being importer. And it's why they are starting to say, no, I don't want to be that. So you have to find somebody else. So I think it's an interesting thing. And I think your business or the business that you are starting to build and the model that you are starting to build is really trying to solve this issue, if I can say. It's trying to say, okay, you can keep the same logistic, but we are here on the top. But just maybe to clarify again to people, what are the, before to talk about this model, so what are the checks, what are the things that you have as an importer to check? What are the elements that you say, okay, before this product is placed on the market, because this is the role, is like, as soon as we have made this control, the products can be placed on the market. Before this product is placed on the market, I have to check that. So do you have kind of elements to check?
Yes, those are, let's say, a couple of they're also mentioned in the MDR. So we have, for each importation, for each shipment to the EU, we have to verify the CE certificate, the EU Declaration of Conformity, see if the labeling is done correctly, to check if the EAR, the importer, the legal manufacturer are correctly identifiable on the devices. If there's a UDI assignment, and whether or not the devices are registered in EUDAMED. So those are, let's say, the specific activities that we have to check before placing on the market.
So it's important also to say that, yes, EUDAMED for now is not mandatory, so it can be or cannot be. So maybe there is some manufacturers that are registered in EUDAMED, but it's not like mandatory for now. On the EU MDR, it's mainly said that EUDAMED will be mandatory as soon as it's fully applicable. So it's not like partially, but fully. So maybe we heard that maybe by 2022, this will be fully applicable. Then you can really make this check. But I think it's really important to say here that you are not just authorizing the products to enter. You have to verify that it's really complying to the regulation, having a CE certificate, declaration of conformity, that everything is fine. You said also about the authorized representative, because if you're outside of Europe, you need to have an authorized representative. So one question that a lot of people are asking me also is, can an importer be also the authorized representative of the company? So is it something possible?
Interesting question, because we do see ARs that are saying we don't want to mix those roles.
Exactly.
We want to keep them separate. We also looked at that, saying if you do, then maybe you need Chinese roles within your company. So for the authorized rep activity and for the import activity. But then again, if you have, as a legal manufacturer, you have your legal entity in Europe, you can assign that legal entity to be your AR and your importer. So from that angle, good question. We've seen, let's say, so far, not many companies combining it. And we also say we are focusing on the importer and not on the AR side.
And I think it's an interesting point because for me, I really advise to separate and to not have the same entity under the thing, because first, there is a conflict of interest. If you are an importer, so you are trying also to sell more devices. So being the one that is regulating and saying that you are doing wrong and being the one that's saying, oh, I have to sell a lot is kind of a conflict here. And as you said, so yeah, this is something that I know some importers are proposing, but less and less, because now they also have to have a PRRC, so a person responsible for regulatory compliance within the authorized representative. And then, as you've said, some importers say, okay, our business is logistics, is to have the products and everything. It's not to make the regulation. So let's keep that business with somebody else, which is really specialized on that, which is important here. As we said also, you have, on the responsibility that you mentioned, you have to verify that the product is correct. What we want to talk now is more about your model, is the fact that you never touch the products within your model, within the independent importer. So how are you verifying that a product is correct with your model? Because your model is the fact to say that, you can tell it maybe what is exactly your model so that we can really have an understanding. Okay, let me show you what is Easy Medical Expert. This is a platform that puts in contact companies, consultants, and where you can submit some tasks there. So let me show you how this is working. If you are offering a mission, then you register on the platform as a company. What you are doing then is that you can publish your missions. How to do that? You go on the plus at the top, you open the new window, you put a task title, you put a category, you can put, if you want, a budget and a due date, and then you put all the details about your mission and you post it. What happens next is that you can receive maybe some applications, you can receive some public comments, and you have to answer to them or to contact those people so you can clarify maybe the mission. If you are happy with them, you can rate them with some stars. And if you are looking for a mission, then you can go to the platform and register as a consultant, and then you can see the missions and you can ask your question and apply to them. Okay, so here is what is Easy Medical Expert. Register at easymedicalexpert.com.
Yes, no, true. We do verification based on desktop review. So we, let's say, ask our manufacturers, our customers, to provide us with documentation and maybe even photographs so that we can see how does the device look that they're about to ship. So we want to get proof of, let's say, that the devices that are going to be shipped, that they meet those requirements. So we ask them, show us this and this and this. Then we verify if that is, let's say, indeed the way it should look, the way it should be. And if that is the case, then we say, okay, this shipment looks compliant. And we then say, approved to place on the market.
And as we said, so you do that before the products arrive to Europe. It's not like it's at the customs and it's waiting that you are doing the check or whatever. It's really prior to send the products to Europe. You say, okay, you have an order, send me the order, send me the information, send me the details, send me the picture, send me the IFU, etc. So the thing that is important here is like, you are, if I can say, trusting your customers doing the right things and sending you the right information also. It's important to say that.
Correct. But let's say in the moment that we are onboarding our customers, we, of course, are looking at their quality management system. How do they proceed with their processes? What kind of checks and balances do they have in place? How do they do the final QA inspection? And all that is something that we want to see. And based on that, we say, okay, we can do it completely based on document review, because we trust that you will send us the right documentation, and then we can make the verification and send the approval. But let's say in cases where we have doubts, we can we can actually put in a third-party inspection. So we are talking to one customer that has manufacturing in China. So we say, wow, who are you using for your quality management, for your quality inspections? And they use a company like SGS. So SGS does a third-party inspection on the quality of the devices. We can also ask SGS to do a check on our specific requirements. And so if we have doubt that a manufacturer is not having a quality management system that we completely trust, then we can say, you know what, we want to do an inspection. We still don't do it, let's say, ourselves physically in Europe, but we can do that, let's say, at the warehouse, at the docking station, and have a third-party company come in and do a physical inspection. So we can do it. And let's say, because we have a liability, we have a responsibility and an associated liability, we may sometimes do want to do checks. But in the business model, we say, based on, let's say, if companies have an ISO 13485, they have notified body oversight, they get inspected already on their systems. So if they have a renowned notified body, they have a renowned AR, we have, let's say, a very good comfort level of, let's say, okay, we can do this here. But the moment that we talk to a company that has a bit of a dodgy authorized representative and the quality management system that we see, the procedures are not really looking very sharp, that's where we say, you know what, maybe in your specific case, we do want to do a physical inspection, but we still want to do it before they ship it. Because if something wrong, then why ship it first to Europe and then have to ship it back, solve the issues that are there? So from, let's say, also a supply chain point of view, we think it makes more sense to do that check before they send it out to Europe.
No, I think it's important here, as you mentioned, liability is the key word here, is the fact that this model is based on trust, as I've said, because you are really checking, you are making, as you mentioned, a due diligence before that your company is reliable, that they are really having a good quality management system, that they have a proof that everything is working correctly before to make business with them. Because, as you mentioned, if there is an issue on the market, it's your fault. You have made the mistake to accept those products to enter the market, and then it's your fault. So this, as I've said, for me, when I heard about your model, I said, oh, it's really a trust model, because if the manufacturer is not doing good, so you are authorizing without knowing, it's not like you know about it, without knowing, you are authorizing some bad products to enter the country, and there your responsibility is engaged because you have signed the document, if I can say, to do that. So it's why it's important to tell to people that this is a good model for helping you to do your supply chain, but there is really a trust factor that has to be in place here.
And not only a trust, we are a lot of, say, in negotiations with a lot of companies and going through the contract. Our contract states that we can always inspect and audit our manufacturer. And then they tell us, yeah, but we have CE marking, we have notified body oversight. So why would you need to audit us? Because we are liable. And we want to make sure that if we feel something is wrong, and as the MDR says, if we have reasons to believe, and that sentence is a very powerful sentence, that should give us authorization to say, you know what, we do want to inspect you. We want to go into your facility and see how you do this. Because in the end, as you said, if they put something on the market, place on the market and bypass us, and our logo is on the packaging, we will get notified, and not only notified, they'll come to us. And that's where we say, you know what, so we will always have the right. And some companies say, well, you can only audit us once. No, if we have reasons to believe that something is seriously wrong, we can audit you 10 times. And of course, we don't want to do that because if, let's say, all is okay, there's no reason to do that. But if there's something wrong, we definitely want to have the power to do that. So we also have the power to stop importations, but we also have the power to go in and see what the situation is. Yeah.
No, I think it's clear. And as you mentioned, you have your name on the product, because as soon as you are authorizing the products to be on the market, your name is there to say imported by, because as you've said, it can be imported by 100 companies. So at the end, we have to know the same products maybe can be imported by 100 companies. So you have to know by which company this was also authorized, so that if there is any liability, we know that it's you or it's another one. Because I imagine that if somebody imports the products but don't put his name, and they think, oh, MedEnvoy is making the same importation, so it's the fault of MedEnvoy, when it's not, then maybe it can be a big issue here.
One thing I want to also say, what is then very important, that we keep track. We keep track on what shipments we have verified. So if there is a shipment on the EU market that arrived without us knowing it, we can say, you know what, this shipment hasn't gone through our process. So then by that at that moment, let's say the manufacturer doesn't follow the procedure and goes outside the process that we co-developed in terms for the importation. At that point, we can say, you know what, this was not imported by us. And then at that moment, let's say a distributor does the importation. That moment, that distributor qualifies as the importer. And at that point, that distributor is liable, maybe without even knowing it.
Exactly.
but that is the situation. That's very important to understand, that you qualify as an importer. So it doesn't have to be that you're on the you have to be on the labeling. But if you're not and you do the activities, then yes, you are liable.
Yeah, it's completely clear. You are located in the Netherlands, is it correct?
Correct.
Okay, correct. So if tomorrow there is an issue, if I can say, with the products, I think the competent authority in Netherlands will come to visit you and to audit you. So they have to check all what you have done. They have to check that you have done correctly your job, that you have inspected. So it's why it's important to mention that doing this role is not like just a post box to put your name on the product and say, we have an importer, it's at this place. No, this guy or this importer has really some responsibility and can be also audited, can be checked by the authorities, can be sued, can be closed, can be have a fine, etc. So it's not just a kind of a signature to say, yes, we are authorizing to enter.
Correct. And that's why we are, let's say, we have created a database, let's say, where we can find each and every shipment that was brought to Europe. We can see who has verified this on our end. When was it shipped? When did it arrive in Europe? And where did it arrive in Europe? And then say, was it sent on to through a logistics company to a distributor? And when did it arrive at the distributor? And was the, let's say, was the same amount that the distributor asked for? So if they ordered 100, 90 were delivered. Hey, this is a problem because 10 are missing. And so we have, let's say, a database where we keep track of all these events, so to say, and these supply chain events. We keep track of those. So if something 10 years from now goes wrong with a certain device, and they come to us and, hey, it says that you were the importer of this device. Show me how it went. And then we can tell them, you know what, this was verified by us on June 22nd, and it was shipped to the Netherlands on July 1st and arrived in Germany on July 3rd. We have the full traceability, and we can show it up to the next economic operator. So if we, let's say, ship to the distributor, that's where our registration stops. So we can tell, yes, we delivered this to this specific distributor.
And I mean, this is a good process, but I think behind that, there should be a quality management system that is working also correctly, because having just a system is not enough. You have to have some processes available for maybe, as I say, if you are hiring maybe 2-3 people, that all those 3 people that are doing those checks are doing that in the same way, and that it's not like one is saying, let me do it like that because there is no process defined, the other another way, etc. So that we have really this. But so you have a quality management system, actually? Correct.
We are implementing ISO 13485, and we're working with Greenlight Guru to have an EQMS, because we envision not having one customer, but hopefully many customers. And that means that for each and every customer, we have to define what is the specific importation process. So in general, it is a couple of the same steps, but for each company, we might have a different way to receive an order or to get a proof of delivery. So we have to make a work instruction for each and every customer's importation process. And then our team will follow those instructions to make an importation and do the correct entries into the database that we have. And yes, this role we envision we'll be viewed as a critical supplier to the legal manufacturer, and therefore, let's say, are subject to audits. And then if we can show that we have an ISO 13485 and have the certificate, which we hopefully will receive by mid this year, then not only from a practical point of view, but also showing to the outside world, yes, we are a serious player in this field. We want to have that certificate. Yeah.
No, I think it's completely great, and I really like, if I can say this kind of mindset also, that we are doing everything right and we are doing everything correctly, so that we are compliant, and we are also understanding the responsibility and the role that we have. So it's not like we are just making here a business to make money. It's really trying to find a way to help people in the right way, in compliant way, and doing that correctly, which is exactly what the right mindset. So so MedEnvoy now. So MedEnvoy, so your company. So are you who should contact you? So are you open for business with all the people actually, or?
Yes, we are open for business. We see, let's say, we have a large customer base and prospect base in the US. So Renee, who's living in California, he's dealing with a lot of our US customers right now. Okay. And I'm in Europe, I'm in the Netherlands. And people can either contact me, contact Renee through our website, MedEnvoyglobal.com.
Okay.
Or my email address, ekasteel@MedEnvoyglobal.com. Send in an inquiry, and we can assist with that. And what we do see, let's say, not only US, but a lot of UK companies. We are working with a lot of UK companies that after Brexit have to deal with this issue too. I suppose Swiss and Turkey and all those countries that maybe we don't know now, but maybe on the 26th of May 2021 will need an importer to place the device on the market. Will also need your kind of services, which is important. Maybe to add to that, we also see that companies do have legal entities, and then say, well, we have this GmbH in Germany. It is a bit of a PO box, but it's a legal entity. We can then also service as a back office. So we can say, if you want to keep that GmbH in Germany as your importer, then on the labeling it says the legal manufacturer's GmbH office in Germany being the importer. We can then provide back office service. So we will do exactly the same as what we would do as we would be the importer, but then the liability lies with the GmbH in this case, but we can support the GmbH in being compliant. Now, I think it's really great because I think it gives also some flexibility to companies to say, okay, we maybe are establishing this kind of service, but in the meantime, as we don't have that, maybe we can use MedEnvoy to do this interim, and then when we'll be established, we will be doing that correctly. So I think it's completely great. And as I said, it's really a good mindset because it's not here to say, oh, we are keeping everything and we are not giving anything. It's like, no, we are here to help you, and which is a great thing. So really thank you for that. Okay, so I think we have really covered everything about importer. I hope now everybody understands what is an importer, what is the responsibility, and now they understand also your model, which is something that I'm really trusting. So I'm really asking you to contact MedEnvoy if we really are, if I can say, having a problem to get importation in the European Union. So MedEnvoy can be really a good service to help you here. Okay, so for everybody that is listening to this podcast, so thank you. If you have any message, if you have any comments, don't hesitate to place that on the YouTube comments or on the podcast page. If this is a question to Edgar, so I will forward that to him and I will ask him to answer to you. Otherwise, if you are looking at that in the YouTube channel, don't hesitate to subscribe also and to like the videos. Okay, so Edgar, really thank you for your help. Thank you for all your support, and I wish you a nice day. You too. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Bye-bye.